Hello, and welcome to part 2 of how I became one of Alicia Vikander's stunt doubles on the 2018 Tomb Raider movie. If you missed part 1, it's going to be linked down below, so go and check it out now so you're all caught up, because this wasn't really a typical journey into stunts. It all kind of happened by accident. Let's just pick up where we left off, shall we? Just a quick recap. I went to audition for a cycling picture double, and I met with Lee Morrison, the second unit stunt coordinator, and he put me on the stunt contract there and then, that same day. Rehearsals happened pretty much the following week, I think, maybe 2 weeks later. We were rehearsing at an airfield just outside of London, and when you're an actor, you're usually picked up from your house and driven to set, or from the hotel if you're on location. Even when you're an extra, you're usually picked up by a minibus from a nearby train station and taken to the studio. When you're a stunt performer, however, you're expected to drive yourself to set. And I wasn't a driver. I didn't have a driving license, I couldn't afford a car, so I had to take Ubers everywhere, which was a bit annoying because obviously it then meant I made 70-ish pounds less a day than I would have done. But I had to do what I had to do. So anyway, I get to the first day of rehearsals. I meet the rest of the stunt team who are all super cool. Most of them were like pro BMXers and pro motocross riders. They were amazing. Honestly, I met so many cool people on this job that if I begin mentioning names, it's going to be a 40-minute video of me just listing every single name that's on IMDb. So go to IMDb and check it out. Everyone on there is amazing. So we started rehearsing the cycling sequence, which was to be shot in and around East London. There was, a lot of stunt drivers. There was double-decker buses. We were cycling into the double-decker buses and weaving through traffic. That was quite interesting. One of the first things we did, I fell over my handlebars, and then I got straight back up, and Lee came to me and was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, yeah, okay. Get back on it." Once again, I guess he saw that I was okay and not afraid to take a fall, so that probably worked in my favour. I was doing the rehearsals with the second unit. The main unit was, I think, finishing up the stuff they were doing in South Africa, and I guess they would have been sent some rehearsal footage and pictures for approval or whatever, and eventually I was told that the main unit might want to borrow me, which sounded exciting because, that just meant I would get to do more stuff. And at some point during this rehearsal period, I get a message from Lee asking me how I am in water, and I said, "Great. I used to compete, very confident in water, all good." And he said, "Okay, we might get you to do some water stuff then," which was like, great, amazing. I wanted to do everything. So we finished rehearsals and we go off to shoot in Shoreditch. I did some stuff with the second unit, and then I got moved to the main unit, which is where I met Franklin Henson, main unit stunt coordinator, who was also very nice. I ended up sort of hopping between second unit and main unit. The main bike chase was shared between me and two of the stunt doubles, and that took a couple weekends, I think. And then when we finished filming the bike chase, I was asked to do some water stuff, which was great. Every stunt I'm going to talk about, most of them were sort of split into sections, and some of them they shot the beginning and the end in South Africa, and we did the middle, and yeah, most of the gags were split between one or two stunt doubles. I did the bit where she's going down the rapids with her hands tied, and we mainly shot that at Lee Valley Whitewater Centre, which was a lot of fun, but slightly terrifying on the first day. So basically, I started with the main unit, we did our rehearsals, we went through the rapids, we practiced, being on our back and catching the ropes to get us out and all of that. Did it a couple times, got used to it, and then started shooting. And it was me, another girl, and Alicia, and everything was fine, we were having a good time. And eventually I got called over to the second unit who were shooting the same scene but at the Olympic rapids, and I very quickly discovered that the one that I was at to begin with was basically a lazy river, because when I got to the Olympic one, it was extremely loud, I could barely hear anything, and obviously the people who were shooting there from the beginning of the day, they would have had a couple of goes in it and got used to it and stuff and kind of knew what was going on. I basically got there from a very calm, quiet situation where I was in control to, okay, this is happening, jump, 3, 2, 1, action. And oh my god, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't see anything, I swallowed like half the river, I kept being twisted, I thought I was gonna hit my head on the ground, I went down, I was like, okay, I survived, what the hell? It was insane. And the reason why they called me over is because for some reason none of the other people were going down the middle, and one of the girls got a dead leg. And then Lee goes, "All right, great, you went down the middle, you're doing this." So we did a couple more times, and I was like, okay, well that was terrifying, but we moved past it. And I hear on the radio that they are gonna need me for the following day to do the full day of that. Lee came up to me, and I think he must have seen that I was a bit shaken up, and he kind of went, right, if you don't want to do it, tell me now, because we're not going to do it. And I said, yeah, I'll be fine tomorrow. We came back the next day and I was mentally prepared. I knew where I was going and I had a great time. The second day was amazing. Anyway, so we did it. Everyone was happy. I can't remember who said it, but eventually someone said, we might have to put you on some wires. I was like, great. Yes, please do. They look really fun and exciting. And they are. They hurt, but they are. And the first thing I did on the wires was the big pickaxe jump at the end, which was so iconic. So we rehearsed that with Lee at first, and I remember showing up to the first day of filming that bit. I suddenly felt like I was a lot more in it. I was part of the core team, so to speak, and you know, like my hair and makeup were being done by the same team who did Alicia. My costume was being dealt with by the same team. So it was all, I was a bit more involved. And I felt a bit more pressure. But everyone was super nice. Again, if I start mentioning names, we're gonna be here all day. Everyone was so lovely. I've been so lucky with all of my jobs. Everyone has been super nice. I can't remember how long it took us to film that big pickaxe jump. It's all a bit of a blur, being in those wires for hours at a time. Oh yeah, you can't pee, because you know, you're in the harness and you're up in the air and you're sort of just there. Just like, while everyone else is dealing with stuff, when you're just hanging in the air, chilling, with a full bladder. But it's good fun. I remember the main day when we shot the main bulk of it, there was a really nice moment when I was being brought back down to earth just before we wrapped, and I heard Lee Grummet, our first AD, say on the got mic something to the effect of, give a round of applause to Violet for doing a job. He said something nice, but I can't remember what it was. I just remember hearing my name, then people clapping, and it took everything I had to not burst out into tears, because that was very nice. Anyway, so that was it for the big jump, and I did a couple of other bits of wires afterwards. I remember Patrick, the producer, at some point saying, oh, so you came here to do some cycling, yeah? Yeah, cool. Up you go on the wires. And the final bits were filmed in the water tank. I can't remember if it was a week or a couple of weeks, but the last days of the shoots, I basically spent every day in the tank, which was a lot of fun. I love water, so I was at home. That's where we did more bits of the rapids, sort of like falling backwards into water and stuff. And I also did the bit where she jumps off a sinking ship into the stormy sea. And I did the first jump, and they were like, great, that's great, but you're not sinking low enough, so we're gonna put some weights in your backpack. And I was like, okay, great. So I put some weights in my backpack, and then I went again, still not sinking low enough. So basically I kept putting more and more weights into my backpack until I sank low enough for them. And I think I had like 10 kilos in my backpack by the end of it, which was fun. Swimming with 10 kilos in my backpack was a workout. Yeah, by the end of the week, I remember I went to put my hair up in a ponytail, and I just saw like the muscles in my arms. They were massive. That was great. And yeah, and I was there for the final day, you know, final cut, final wrap. And we were hugged and clapped, and it was very nice. I really missed that job. It was really good. I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity. Grateful to Lee for giving me the chance, to everyone for looking after me and accepting me and including me. And I'm very aware that pretty much the only reason why I got the job is because of the similarities in the appearance. And like, I'm not saying we're twins, right? Because she's a lot better looking than I am. But there's definitely similarities, right? She remarked on it herself. She'd be watching like a rough cut of a sequence that we filmed the day before or something, and she'd be like, I don't remember doing that. And then she'd be like, oh no, that's Violet. And there were times when I was, you know, in hair and makeup on set, people would come up to me like, oh shit, I thought you were Alicia. So it was a factor. But there's something to be said about, you know, me going for it and not being afraid to try things, and I guess doing a good enough job to continue getting sort of promoted within the thing and doing more and more and more stuff, because if I was completely shit, they wouldn't have kept me, right? Basically, I'm very grateful for the job and the opportunity. It taught me a lot. It's still one of the most amazing things that have ever happened to me. So that's the story of how I ended up being Lara Croft for a brief moment in time. And the lesson here is, I guess, when the opportunity presents itself, just grab it by the horns, or by the bicycle handlebars in my case. Oh, and I got to go to the premiere. It was like my first proper premiere where I was an actual invited guest. It was great to go, to be on the red carpet and see everyone and have a little catch up and go for a drink and stuff. It's very cold in this room, so I'm going to put this on. This is from an immersive experience I used to work at as Lara Croft, as well as other characters. At some point I got a phone call from Lee saying that they were about to do prep for Tomb Raider 2, and he was like, get strong, get fit, get ready, we are starting in April. And that phone call was in January 2020. April came and the whole world was in lockdown and nothing was happening. The industry shut down, and because of how long that whole thing lasted, the movie can no longer happen, so it's not happening. But they are making a whole new thing. I think Phoebe Waller-Bridge is writing it, and I think it's like an Amazon series. That's a new and exciting life for Lara. Not gonna lie, I'd really love to audition for that, because then I'll feel like I've completed the character. A girl can dream, right? I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was somewhat interesting. It was nice for me to sit down and talk about it, because I sort of forget that these things have happened, you know? I struggled to really enjoy it at the time and be in the moment, because I remember while I was on set, I was mostly stressed about whether or not I'm doing a good job and feeling massive imposter syndrome because, you know, I'm not on the register. I felt like I was taking away someone else's job, and that really played a lot on my mind. That happens with any job, that happens with acting, with music things. I'm always permanently living with imposter syndrome. And after the job, it's always, you know, looking at the next step, the next big thing, because it feels like in our society, unless we're constantly moving up, we're failing. So it's nice to just sit with it and just go, oh yeah, that happened. And that was really cool. I think my plan for the next couple of videos is to just sort of talk about the career highlights, just so I can have that as something to look back on. Then move on to YouTube specific content. Not entirely sure what it's going to be still, but we'll figure it out. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next Wednesday with another video. Have a lovely week.